So, with today being Earth Day 2016, I thought I'd go ahead and share my thoughts. Take a look at the picture in front of you. For those of you that cannot see, it is an image of the Earth. Let that sink in for a moment. This is where you are right now, on this ball floating in space, and the chances of us making contact with intelligent life within my lifetime at least is unknown. But from what I've learned in my undergrad astronomy course, and keep in mind this was 10 years ago, the predictions obviously may have changed. Science advances at an astronomical rate. Anyway, my instructor made the point that if we were to make contact with an alien species, or they were to make contact with us and they were on their way here to this planet, that unless they have some technology that we don't know about, and it's very possible that they might, they wouldn't get here within our lifetime. And I don't mean to scare anybody, I'm just taking a look at all possibilities, you know? I personally, I feel like we think we know everything. But there's a part of me that feels that the instant we come into contact with an alien being from another world, that what we perceive to be reality, I don't know what's going to happen. But you know, you do wonder about these things. Earth is our home. We are searching for other planets, but much like it would take aliens a lifetime to get here, it would take us, with our present technology, a lifetime to reach the nearest habitable planet. As we all live on this Earth, I don't see people as black or white or Christian or Republican or Democrat or any of that. I see them simply as human beings. And the more I got to thinking about it, the more you have to wonder about certain things. This comes from the Mind Unleashed. And for those of you that know me personally, you know that I like them on Facebook and I share their posts. It says, "We were all humans until race disconnected us, religion separated us, politics divided us, and wealth classified us." And the way I look at it is, in order for us to survive, we don't need to abandon who we are as individuals, but we do need to set aside our differences and work together as a single planet. There are parts of the world where the education that I'm receiving right now would be thought of as a miracle for a lot of people. And as I look at everybody on the planet as equals, it really gets me to thinking, why? Why is it that we have set up a system that some people are wealthy, Some people are comfortably in the middle. Some people are work a day and they don't really have a lot of wiggle room when it comes to luxuries. And yet, people are struggling to find a roof over their heads, and they're struggling to find food to eat and water to drink. Again, we were all humans until race disconnected us, religion separated us, politics divided us, and wealth classified us. These are all man-made systems. Now, I'm not about to go into my religious affiliation. I feel that that's not appropriate. But I feel there has to be a distinction made between religion and spirituality. Because the deity that I believe in has even said in their time that they denounced the religious establishment. Okay? And again, why do we set up a system like this? Especially when we all live on the same ball. You can come up with all the political reasons you want. You can come up with all the religious reasons you want. Excuse me. But the way I look at it is it's basically comes down to three simple words. Because we can. And if we take those three simple words and actually start improving the quality of life on Earth for many people. I watched the channel Think Tank, and a while back they put up a video that talked about things that if they were invented today would be illegal, and driving was one of them. Now, my girlfriend and I require either public transportation or others to get us around. We've depended upon this all of our lives. So for us, having a system like the personal rapid transit, throughout the city would be merely a new way to independence. But for everybody else who's used to driving to work, let's think about this, because not everybody has access to an electric train system beneath the ground or above ground. You wouldn't have to worry about road rage. You wouldn't have to worry about, rush hour commutes. The way these systems work is it's overseen by a massive network of computers so that each vehicle is aware of every other vehicle's presence on the network. It makes the possibility of a crash practically zero, and the fact that it's a self-driving vehicle means in the morning you could sit down, have a cup of coffee, read the paper, or get a jump start on work. I can tell you that when I'm on the bus going to the university, I'm able to access all of my classwork and take a look at it and do last-minute edits and whatnot. Again, these are things that I'm used to doing because I'm used to having to rely on other transportation sources than myself because I physically cannot drive. But for people that can drive, the roads have just gotten insane. And I think that if we were to switch over to a renewable, clean energy transit system that was self-piloting, that basically we take our present roadways and we turn them into guideways for these little pods. And if we were to power this off of renewable energies, it would just be fantastic. And it can be done. It can be done. If you take a look at if you Google Masdar City, I can't remember if that's Masdar or Mazdar. I can't remember how to spell it, but it's a city in Abu Dhabi. This city is the first on the planet that has outlawed internal combustion vehicles of any kind. You get around the city through PRT systems, and I'm sure some of them are configured for cargo. You also get around on bikes. You get plenty of exercise. That city, if you ask me, should be a benchmark for the rest of the planet. If the rest of the planet were to adopt a system like that, then we wouldn't have nearly half the problems we have right now. In China, it's gotten to the point where the higher officials have actually told people to stay indoors because the pollution has gotten that bad. And you're probably thinking, well, if they didn't adopt cars so quickly, I think the appropriate question is, or the appropriate statement to make is, we, as a humanitarian planet, should have banded together and helped China to develop a 100% renewable energy system from the ground up. In fact, I believe India is doing just that. They're trying to skip past all the mistakes that we have made as human beings and get to a point where Masdar City is now. And I think that everybody else needs to follow suit. For across the country transit in the United States, we could adopt something like this. It is a magnetic levitation rail system. The way the trains work is the motors are actually contained in the guideway. And it's basically like okay. If you're playing a racing video game and you're coming across one of those pads that gives you a boost, of speed, that booster pad, think about that booster pad one after the other after the other after the other, where the vehicle itself doesn't necessarily have to have its own propulsion system. That's what this is. And again, I think that if we were to develop a system, and you're probably thinking, well, where would we have room for this? Well, if you take a look at our interstates, now we'd have to obviously make some modifications through the Colorado mountains and other similar regions, but for areas that are flat, there's enough space in between the roadways going both directions to build a guideway for this. And you're probably thinking, well, we got air travel. Have you ever sat in the back of a plane? I have. The exhaust stinks. And it got me to thinking that if I'm smelling that, now granted we're at 30,000 feet up, but you still have to wonder what the heck that's doing to our atmosphere. Now, there are technology enhancements with every day progresses. I will not say that there haven't been. I'm looking at long-term prospects here. Obviously, this wouldn't happen overnight. I'm looking at my grandkids' generation. My kids' generation, especially my grandkids' generation at the very least. And other ways to sustain our planet is to basically get away from fossil fuels. I've already demonstrated how this could be done in transportation. And again, this is only in theory. Obviously, there will be a lot of infrastructure and statistical and logistical problems to overcome. But in theory, we could have solar power. We already have, solar-powered houses are big. Like, I've got a solar-powered grid on my house right now that acts as the pool heater for my swimming pool in the backyard. And I've been wondering about the possibility of converting the entire place over to solar power, because where I live, there's plenty of sun to be able to take care of it. But what if you don't live in an area where there's a lot of sun? Well, you've got the option of hydroelectric power, and obviously there are dams all over the place, but this is just another example. Wind power, my late father actually wanted to experiment with this. He wanted to see about building a wind farm of his own. Unfortunately, and this is where we get into the whole business of how politics divided us, he was all set to go with this project, and it would have been wonderful. My father was a very smart man, and I feel that if he had the resources, that he could have made a real dent in the renewable energy industry. Unfortunately, the politics of the day didn't allow this to happen. And we have to step back and ask why. Well, it's because I don't believe in yada yada. Nope. That's not a good enough reason. I respect people's beliefs, but you have to look at the bigger picture. Think about it for a moment. What if we woke up tomorrow and our atmosphere was gone? What if we woke up tomorrow and all of a sudden, the ozone went poof? Would you be able to breathe? What if our food supplies suddenly ran out because we did not have a renewable energy source with which to cultivate sustainable food supplies? How would you be able to get your breakfast to go into the office to steal that $1 billion or whatever it is you do every day? Think about it. Another example is geothermal energy. Now, in my region, I have not seen any examples of this. At least not that I can think of off the top of my head, because suddenly I'm trying to jog my memory now. But the Earth itself has a monumental amount of heat in it. And for regions where wind or hydroelectric power or solar power may not work, Now, granted, I'm just speaking in terms of overall picture here. I'm not looking at specifics. I'm not looking at any data. What I'm trying to demonstrate is the fact that we do have the ability to get to work on creating a green, sustainable future. Because right now, Mother Earth is in danger, and she needs our help, and bad. I'm subscribed to a couple of email lists, and one of the things they've been saying is, if we don't act now, then we're going to very soon, within this century, scientists are predicting that we're going to end up at a point of no return. Think about it. Another example of where multiple energy sources come into play is there was a I can't remember who the company was, but there was a portable fan that had the ability to generate, if you were in a windy area or an area that got enough wind to make this work. It's a tiny prop that you stick on top of your house, and this acts as a supplement to a solar array system. You put those together and you'd be able to live off the grid completely. At least that was the promise. Now, again, I'm not looking at data. I'm not looking at... I want to look at data, but I'm saying that for the purposes of this video, I'm just talking overall big picture of how we could. Okay? The point I'm trying to make is we have the ability. we have the ability to go back and save Mother Earth. Let's put aside race, religion, politics, wealth. Let's put that all aside and work on preserving this planet for future generations. Because if we don't act now, it's going to be too late. Thank you for watching. Comments are welcome, and have a nice day.